So the power of your Google local business profile. Now, Google, as you know, love to change the name of what they're doing, and this might be variously known to you as Google Maps, Google Local Business, Google My Business, and now in a reorganization of many of the same words, it's Google Local Business Profile, but it's very much the same concept. So if you look for a result on the screen, if I could get the slide to roll on, which is interesting. Okay. Right, okay, just suss that out. Go back. So that's the familiar desktop result of a Google search for, in this case, Lyndhurst Community Centre. I chose that one because I manage this particular profile. So as manager, I'm seeing not only the search result, but it's also showing me a load of tools to maintain that profile. But essentially, the Google Business Profile shows you a set of photos and some other summarized information about the business alongside the main Google search results. So on desktop, you've got this quite prominent looking panel over on the right with info about the business alongside some search results over here on the left. So as you can see, that's a pretty prominent position for your business listing, but it gets even more interesting when you head on to mobile, because here's a mobile screenshot and my screen is filled with the Google business listing, and I'd have to scroll quite a bit further down this screen to get to some of the other search engine results. So particularly for local searches on your phone, your Google business profile is a really important part of your search engine presence. And that's partly because Google realizes that people searching on their phone may well be in the sorry, just muting there, may well be in the vicinity as the place they're searching for. So it wants to prioritize, for people on phone, it wants to prioritize local search results to give the best experience for that visitor. That's a quick view of what the local or Google business profile does for you. How do you get to be in a good position on that search? How does your profile's ranking get determined by Google? They've got three criteria. Google themselves state these three criteria. First of all, there's relevance. How well does your profile match with relevance to what the person is searching for? So to achieve that, you need to make sure that you've got the right information and full information on your profile. I'll come back to that in a minute. So you can influence that. Distance, well, you can't do much about that. If someone's searching for coffee shop in Lyndhurst, your coffee shop's either in Lyndhurst or it isn't. But you can influence the next factor, which is prominence. So prominence is it's Google's own term for how they assess the kind of weight that your business carries locally. So things like reviews really start to matter. Getting reviews on Google profiles, but also reviews on TripAdvisor or other reviews can form part of that overall assessment of your prominence locally. Second factor is links. Have you got links to your website from other local directories perhaps, or other websites that have recommended you? And thirdly is search engine position. So, you know, it seems odd that your search engine position is influenced by your search engine position, but what I mean here is that the ranking that your business profile gets, or your ranking within the business profile results, is also affected by how your website's ranking sits on the search engines. So it all fits together as a picture. Google's not just looking at it in isolation, it's looking at other sites that might give links to you, it's looking at how well your own website is ranked. I mentioned your position within the results page. So the next slide shows what a search result looks like. So this is Mitchell's Worktops, or Worktops Southampton. Mitchell's happened to be a client of mine. And you've got this thing called the 3-pack. Again, it's a term that's used quite a lot in the SEO community. So it's not half a 6-pack, but it's a set of 3 results that are the 3 that get chosen by Google to be shown at the top of the page below the map. So I've done my search for Worktop Southampton. I've been given a little map of Southampton, and I'm given 3 results. You know, what a great place to be. You get a really good conversion rate if you're one of those 3 results. But just to chuck an extra obstacle in your way, Google may well make one of those search results a paid ad placement. So if you're not that paid ad placement, then you're going to want to be working on your natural search engine position to get yourself into those top 3. So it's really important that you try and get yourself in that position there. So how are you going to do that? So the power of NAP, that's not power naps, that's not taking a quick snooze, as you might already be feeling like doing this afternoon. NAP is name, address, phone. So those 3 factors are what Google is looking at in assessing the location that you occupy. So name, business name, be consistent with your business name. Don't call yourself Northerwood Systems Limited in one place and Northerwood Websites in another and Northerwood somewhere else. Be consistent in how you present your business. And Sarah was talking about having several different listings. It might be worth thinking about whether they are truly different businesses or whether they're different names for the same business, for example. So be consistent with your name so that Google picks up the idea that this business profile and that website and that presence on Facebook are all the same entity. Secondly, there's addresses, and this quite subtle things can pick you up here, or trip you up here. So an address, Unit 1A Smith Street, might not be seen by Google as being the same thing as 1A Smith Street. So be consistent with how you express your address so that Google consistently sees that it's the same location coming up in different places. And then the third factor they look at and list is the phone number, because often people who've done a local business search want to then phone the business to say, can I have a table at 7 o'clock tonight? So NAP, name, address, and phone. And what else can you do to influence your ranking? Well, reviews are tremendously important. Reviews are very much part of the Google business profile experience, and they really make a difference to how much prominence Google will give to 2 otherwise fairly similar listings for your coffee shop, your worktops business, whatever it is. The number of reviews that you've got and what the quality of those reviews is really matters. And I've seen instances of 2 very similar listings, one that had about 20 reviews, one that had got a couple of reviews against it. I've seen them achieve very different results because the one listing had reviews against it. So do encourage your customers to leave reviews. Don't do it in one massive campaign over a week or 2. Get it spread out over time, because Google will see if you've done a massive campaign, you suddenly get 10 results, and then you don't 10 reviews, and then you don't hear any more for a while. Google will go, okay, that's odd. People are not consistently ranking this business with a good review. They've done some marketing here. They've bought some reviews or whatever. So it looks a bit suspicious if your reviews all arrive in one rush. So spread them out over time. Every time you have a happy customer that you think will give you a nice review, ask them to do it. Send them a link. Give them a little card that's got something written down on it to remind them. So do encourage your customers to leave reviews consistently over time. It's also really important to engage with your reviewers, to reply to your reviews. You know, if it's a nice review, say, thank you very much for your review. Glad you enjoyed our espresso cafe coffee or whatever. But equally, if you get a bad review, that's actually an opportunity. If your reviews are not consistently all 5-star, but it's actually got the odd 4 and even maybe a 2 or a 1 in there, it looks authentic. It looks like these are real reviews left by real people. But there's even more than that to the opportunity of a bad review, and that's the opportunity to make a sensible, decent response to it that shows you care that that person had a bad experience, or that perhaps they've misunderstood what your offer was. So do engage with your reviews, whether they're good or whether they're bad, because they build up that picture that yours is a real business engaging with real people that cares about those people. So reviews are what you need to work on going forward, you need to have the right static information in place, but you can work on those reviews. But what you also should be working on is things like photographs. So the local business profile has an area in which you can upload photographs, and that can include short video clips as well, which is a great way of showing a walkthrough, perhaps if you've got a shop or something like that. So do add photos, or encourage other people to add photos and bits of video to your local Google business profile. So to summarize the things that you need to be thinking about, I think we can do no better than go to Google itself. So here's a screenshot that I took earlier this afternoon of what Google says are the things that you need to think about. I think it gives quite a good recap of the points that I've talked about. So first of all, we've got ensure you've got complete data. So make sure that you've got your opening hours, for example. If you're showing a local business listing without opening hours, that's really odd. It's not a great user experience, and Google's going to recognize that it's not a great user experience, and they will mark you down for that. So make sure you've got complete information. Verify your locations. If you have got several locations, firstly, you should have a different profile for each of them, because there's this whole geographic aspect to these business profiles. So if you've got a shop in Fordingbridge and an outlet in Ringwood, make sure that they've got different listings for those respective locations. And verifying the location can consist of Google sending you a physical postcard. It can consist of Google phoning your phone number with a verification code that you have to enter. Or I've noticed these days, quite often, they're not actually doing those physical verification methods. When you create a new listing, they go, we're going to verify this. And then a few minutes later, you can receive a message that goes, okay, we've verified your listing. And what they've done there is they've gone and looked at your website. They've looked at maybe a Facebook page. They've looked at maybe a TripAdvisor listing or something. And they've decided, yes, this business that claims to be on 123 High Street somewhere does genuinely look like it is. So they will verify automatically sometimes. And
Can I
equally,
ask a quick question
do.
on the verifying? On our Paper Mountain Google page, it's got located in Sainsbury's, which we're not. And I have tried to change that and haven't been able to.
Yeah, changing a location can be challenging. I have done it successfully. I actually did it for an osteopath down in Waterside, whose listing showed him as being on the forecourt of the garage across the road from him, which wasn't a good look for an osteopath. And I submitted, as a member of the public, I submitted I think they call it submit and edit to that, and nothing happened for about a fortnight. And then about a fortnight later, I got a notification from Google saying your edit has been accepted, and they moved his pin from one side of the road to the other. So I can't make any promises, Sarah, but it can be done, because I have actually done it. And there is.
Sarah, can I just chip in there? Sorry,
yeah, do.
We did exactly that. We moved from Lymington to Fordingbridge in February, almost exactly a year ago. They didn't send a card, didn't phone up. What they do, because we tried to change the address, and clearly they're worried about fraud and scams, which is good. But boy, did we have one hell of a time trying to change the address. We ended up with a video call with a chap who wouldn't switch his video camera on. This was Google, because we verified it. We had our video camera on, and he insisted on a walk about the office showing letter-headed paper, a business card. He even said, have you got a vehicle? And I said, well, yes, but it's not a commercial vehicle. Can I see it? Can I see the registration number? And at that point, I said, absolutely not. And he said, okay, but what I think Google do, if I'm being honest, they did change it after, so you can request a video call and we'll do it, but they will ask for a lot more information than you are required to give. They also wanted my bank details to prove how I invoice people. So feel free to say, not a chance, mate. They won't not verify, but they will push it to get as much information from you as possible as they can. But so we did it by video call in the end, to change address.
That's really interesting, Doug. And I wonder whether they're being extra rigorous because you're a financial services.
Very possibly, yeah, money laundering and things like that,
yeah.
possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a very interesting bit of feedback, and I've not heard of them going to the extent of wanting to see stationery and vehicles and so on. So
I was starting to get very suspicious, I have to be honest. But and I'm thinking, no, I know it's Google because we arranged the meeting via Google and all the rest. So it was all bona fide. But I did start to wonder who was on the other end. But they wouldn't switch their camera on because clearly they're in a call centre somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. You want to vet me? How about me vetting you?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm as suspicious as they were of me.
Perhaps that's what made them realise you were genuine. Okay, thanks for that. Yeah, so if that's verifying locations, keep your hours accurate. If you've got a bank holiday coming up, make it clear whether you're open on that bank holiday or not. If you shorten your Saturday opening hours or lengthen them, put that on there. Manage and respond to reviews, add photos, add in-store products. I mean, that's applicable particularly to retail shops that are selling particular products or offering particular services, but Google offers the opportunity to highlight a particular service that you might offer. And then finally on this page, Google says how they determine your ranking, and that circles us right back to my opening slide. It's relevance, distance, and prominence. So that's from Google's own help pages, that's what they say you should think about in managing your Google business profile. So that, folks, is all for my presentation. I'm going to come off the screen share at this point and we'll see what further comments we've got. So here we are, folks. So I see a hand from Caroline Day, first of all.
How does it handle I work online, so I don't have opening hours, I don't have an address, I'm not necessarily local to anywhere. Can it handle people like me?
That's a really good and important question, Caroline, and you have to recognize that Google is looking first and foremost to create a good experience for people who want to go to a high street or other location somewhere and walk into a premises and do something. It is primarily...
Are you saying I don't need to do it? But
I have a listing for Northerwood websites that's attached to my house at 36 Pemberton Road in Lyndhurst. That's not a physical premises to which I particularly want people turning up and knocking on the door unless they've got an appointment. So I'm not really in that retail position, but I do have a Google business profile and it does work for me. I do occasionally get people ringing me going, I found you on a Google search. So, you know, in your case, Caroline, yeah, appreciate that you don't have opening hours, and I think there is an option in the opening hours section to say that your services are available at any time, or you might just choose to say they're available from 8 AM to 9 PM or something.
By appointment only.
Or by appointment only. I think there is an appointment only option in the listing.
Yeah, it comes up as online appointments, I think. Right. Well, because I've got that as well, because we don't generally see people here. Annoyingly, it doesn't allow me to put down home visits as an option. All it will say is on-site visits, which is, it's not a site, but anyway, on-site visit not available. Online services are available.
Right.
But for some types of business, it will allow you to define a radius within which within which you will offer that service. So that's intended for tradespeople and such like, happy to go 20 miles, but perhaps not 40 miles to deliver their service. Then Google will recognize that you might have a service distance. And the options that they offer tend to vary depending on what kind of business you say you are. So if you are some kind of trade that might well get in a van and go out and about, then they'll offer you different options than if you've clearly got a physical shop that's static on the high street. So what you post up can vary depending on your business type.
We had the same kind of difficulties with Tech Wizard. I mean, we work from home, so we don't want people just turning up unless they've got an appointment, but we had to push an address on Google My Business. We left off the number. We've got Drake Close, but we haven't got the number that we're at, so that it's not enough information to somebody just to turn up, but they've got the contact us button, so they will then contact us. The same kind of thing, and that was mentioned before about opening hours. We say we work 10 AM to 8 PM, but we'll work whatever hours are required. I've been up at midnight before, but generally it just means that people can't book appointments at those times. But it's sometimes difficult. You have to sort of adjust the information a little bit to make it work.
Make
that
it
makes
fit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Mary, you got. I think Mary's got a hand up, and then I'll come to Caroline Newton.
Yeah, I was just wondering, is there a way, do you know, to remove photos? We've had like various refurbishments, and there's some really old sort of photos of one of our bar in Borough Market, for example. It looks completely different now. I can add photos, but I can't see a way of removing them.
Okay, it's not something I've tried to do. I would have thought you'd be able to remove photos that you've posted yourself, but if someone came to Birdie Cider and had a great time and decided to post a photo of them and their mates being riotous, you probably wouldn't be able to remove that. I think what I would say is post lots of more recent photos and just see if you can push the old ones further down the listing in the gallery.
I was playing in it today, actually, Mary. You can, if you go into what Rob was just showing us on the left-hand side, it says edit profile.
Yeah.
I found this by pure accident because I'm rubbish at this. If you go into edit profile, there's a bit that says it's got your photos, and you can click on it when it says add photos, but you can also then remove them.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
But it was pure accident because it doesn't tell you can remove them. It just tells you can add them.
Right.
But you can also remove them.
Right. Okay. That might be.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I've got to say I've learned a few things today in the course of doing the research for this presentation. I'll just flash up the so that search results page. If you are the business owner, if you search for your business, so I control that Lyndhurst Community Centre listing, and it's offering me a whole load of tools here. I can edit my profile, I can add photos, I can look at what the performance of that listing has been, I can edit products and services and things like that. So there's lots of stuff that I can do as business owner that gets pushed at me when I actually do a Google search for my own business. Until today, I hadn't spotted that panel. I normally go to the Google Business Profiles master panel. I just Google for Google Business Profile control panel and it brings me the control panel. But it was interesting to find that you can get to it through the front end of Google, which I didn't know until today. So that was an interesting discovery.
I can still only see it saying add a photo and nothing mentioning about.
Yeah, I've got to say, Phil, it does say add a photo and not.
I've just checked on ours; it's the same.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it's another. I'm just trying. You know what? I was doing this about an hour ago, guys, and I did manage to remove 3 photos. And I'm now just clicking on this to work out how I did it.
If you click on the photo, there's a bin arrives. Yeah, if you click on the photo, a bin arrives in the top right-hand corner.
That's it.
Right.
Press that and it goes.
I'll give you a trick. Well, trick, Doug, and all of you. If you're going to practice or try to do something that's complicated, switch on screen recording, because then you go through, you figure out the answer, and you can go back and watch what you did.
Yeah, good idea.
It works. I do it with my time.
I think it's a really good point, Phil. I mean, those of us who work in IT have had that experience of desperately trying to find something, and we eventually hit on the solution. And you go, actually, what did I do?
And it's generally you did 10 things wrong and then 1 thing right, and you don't know which one of those 11 was the right one.
Yeah.
Sadly, we've lost Caroline Newton, who did have a question, but she's dropped out of the meeting. So,
I had a question.
Come on, Claire.
You know, you said about keeping company names consistent. I think that's something that we've obviously, we're Circle Insurance Services Limited, but we've also got a Circle Marine Insurance specialism. So it's really tricky to know, I guess, which one you want to feature more prominently, like people who want to insure their boat or their marine business, or people that want to get insurance for something non-marine related.
I think they're 2 different markets, and I would go for 2 listings. You might have you might have a slight problem if they're both using the same geographic address, because Google doesn't, doesn't necessarily like stuff piling in the same address. But if we think about reviews, for example, a person doing a marine insurance review or maritime insurance review is going to have a different point of view and different things to say than someone who's looking for general household contents insurance or whatever you do in the general insurance line. So
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's too listing. Hi, Caroline. Welcome back.
Hello, it keeps cutting out, and I've done various things like kind of making a point of leaving and trying to come back. I don't know what's happened. I don't know if it's happened to anybody else. Must be our Wi-Fi. Anyway, my problem is I only have one review on Google My Business, whatever it's called now. But I'm with Independent Cottages, if that's of interest to other people. They ask you to. I asked my people to put reviews on that. And actually, if I don't get a good review, I might not put it on there. But I do get good reviews, so probably only left one out, and there's a particular reason for that. But I don't feel I can ask people for 2 reviews. And also, the people who come are pretty ancient, like myself. And can you hear me?
We can hear you.
You can. So I was just seeing Phil, but I couldn't see what he was saying. And they can't work it to give them a link to get them onto Google. They've got to be with Google in the first place, I think. Otherwise, it's highly complicated for them to get onto Google. Or, I don't know how to give them the link in order to put a review on this. It's a problem.
We had the same problem. I worked out the instructions. I'm going to just look them up.
Oh, well done.
And I might paste it into the chat area here in a second.
That'd be great.
Thanks for that,
But
Phil.
do carry on while I'm doing that.
I think, Caroline, having worked on some of your posting reviews and so on with you, I think with Independent Cottages, the reviews are about giving people who found the cottage in a search using Independent Cottages' own search facility. It's about giving them some reassurance that it's a nice, nice clean property, well looked after, etc. Once you've got a few reviews that say that, I would switch your focus to getting some Google reviews and work on building up that Google business profile position to kind of share the love around a bit. I realise it's a bit ambitious to get people.
I can't do it twice. So
get one lot of people posting on Independent Cottages and get some others posting on Google reviews for you.
Yes, but as I say, I just don't know how to. People find it very difficult to do that.
Well, if they're people who've got a Gmail address, then they've already got a Google account, so they could be good ones to target.
Exactly, that's a good idea. I mean, yes, I know that. Yes, and maybe not bother with the other one. Yeah. Okay. Well, but I'll look at what Phil said as well.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can I just ask Doug, how did you get your telephone conversation with the Google person? Because the address for Paper Mountain is right. It's actually the bit where it says located in above the address, which says Sainsbury's, that I need to get changed. And Sainsbury's is actually physically quite a long way away from where the shop is. So
do you know how we got it in the end? And actually, I was quite surprised. You know, it's almost impossible to speak to a human in a large corporation these days. If you look up Google on the internet, they actually give you a customer services number to phone. I was absolutely gobsmacked. And they do answer the phone as well.
Goodness.
Yeah, those humans work for Google. They don't just keep pushing you down automated systems and AI. No, actually, we just looked up the customer services number and phoned up and went, "Hi, we have a problem. Can you help us?"
Brilliant.
And we did.
Thank you.
How old school is that?
Yeah.
I mean, with my osteopath example, I just had the opportunity to drag the pin into what I thought was the right position. As I say, initially it didn't do anything about it, and then some days later, I had an email from Google to my Gmail address saying we've accepted your edit.
I've tried that and it didn't work.
I don't know. I can't answer quite why it didn't work on that occasion. Any other questions or comments?
I get confused every time Google change what they call things.
Yeah. I did not know it as Google business profiles, I have to say. And it wasn't until I started doing the research for this presentation. Oh, right. Okay. That's their current name for it. I just call it Google Local Business. I think that's what it was known for about 4 or 5 years. But it's a really powerful tool. It's free, other than the effort you have to put into getting the listing up there. And as you've seen in the screenshots, it gives you a nice bit of real estate on either a desktop screen or even better real estate on a phone screen. If you've got a geographically based business, then it's a really good way of getting some space on Google for pretty much nothing. So it's well worth working.
Yeah, having done a Google search on financial advisors at New Forest, I'm afraid neither me or Doug appear in the top 3. So some work to do by both of us on that account.
Well, it's probably dominated by people who are paying about 20 quid per click for some of
Well,
them.
it is, and to be fair, those that do see most prominent feature the words New Forest in their actual business name.
Yeah.
You
That
know,
would be Adam Johnson at New Forest Financial Planning.
yeah. So so clearly, I suppose the way it ranks is ultimately, that's going to probably trump someone else's name if it's literally got New Forest in their title, I guess.
Yeah. So some years back, when I was still pitching AdWords management, and frankly, I found that it becomes too much hard work to manage AdWords these days. So I focus on building websites. But back when I was managing some Google Ads campaigns, I found that the cost per click for some of the services that you guys offer were immense. I mean, things like equity release, it was £20 a click. And yet, in some other types of business, you'd be paying 20p to £1 per click on a Google ad. So when you're paying 20 quid a click, you're pretty sure that you've got the right proposition, and the right people clicking through.
I'm not even actually sure how we actually achieved getting into that position in the top right. I've just been trying things over the years, but we stopped paid advertising with Google years ago. We don't actually pay. So the fact that we get there, I mean, that was partly because, well, mainly because they stopped accepting adverts from people who do software support remotely, because they're worried about people being hacked. And even though you could show that you were legit, they still wouldn't allow it. So we couldn't pay to advertise. So I'd be intrigued to know how we managed to get up there. Maybe it's just that we place posts on Twitter and LinkedIn and Facebook and all these things. Every month we just post out to all of these.
I think there's a couple of things. One is that level of activity that you've demonstrated there, but I think it's also the period of time over which you've done it. It's longevity. If you've got good quality content online and you're maintaining it, then someone that's been around for 5 years doing that will do better than someone that's been around for 5 months doing that, because Google does recognize the authority that comes from having a longer term presence on the internet.
Yeah.
So I think it could partly be that, Phil. And partly
the other thing is the company name is Tech Wizard with a K, Tech Wizard. It's not a usual name. If somebody's looking for technical, they'll use the word technical. So that doesn't sound very clear. But my point is, if somebody's actually tapping in our company name, there's not too many other people with that company name. But there's a few, including one in Australia that's called Tech Wizard.
I think also, Phil, you're probably posting good quality content on your website. So you're posting stuff about how to fix problems rather than why people should buy from you. And I think Google sees that as a good visitor experience. So they'll tend to be more inclined to push people towards websites that got that kind of tone to them. And I'm getting slightly off topic now from Google business profiles. But if we talk about websites for a moment, then Google is increasingly looking at making sure that people's questions get answered, because they're seeing that people increasingly search on the internet by asking, how do I do blah? And they'll look for websites that answer that question literally in the content that they provide. And this is going to change again over the next year or two as artificial intelligence starts to come. I was just going to say that, yeah. And there's a lot of chatter in the search community now, the SEO community, about quite how the search engines are going to deliver search results. And actually, for once, Microsoft has got the upper hand here with the Bing AI demonstration. Google are on the hind foot at the moment, but you can bet they're not going to stay on the hind foot for very long. Where actually you ask the search engine, how do I fix X? And the search engine gives you an answer that's been compiled from data that it's pulled in from lots of different websites, which is great news for the website visitor. It's not such good news for those who are trying to create the sites that get found on the search engine results. So it's quite a fast changing area at the moment, but I think we can be sure that a map based geographic presence is going to continue to be part of search engine results. And I think if you've got a business that for which present-based geographic search matters, then I think things like Google Business Profile are going to go on being important. I'm going to let Caroline back in. In fact, Phil already did it, I think.
Sorry, I've got another question about photographs, because I've just been looking at our Google thing. There's a bit that's Street View and 360,
Yeah,
which for us are quite out of date. Obviously, Google's done that. How do we get
yeah.
that updated?
I think you're only going to get that updated the next time they send a Street View vehicle down your street. And those vehicles are not circulating all the time. So if you've got a Street View photo that shows old brand signage or whatever it is that's bothering you about that particular aspect of the Street View listing, I think you're probably stuck with it until the next time they come and take a look with the camera.
Right, because also it's got internal shots as well, which are very out of date.
Okay, well, you should be able to do those yourself. So you should be able to submit a video as a walkthrough of your premises. Now, whether you can make that replace an older view brings us back to that question about deleting out-of-date photographs.
Yeah, we were told by our delightfully anonymous chap that you can't change the Street View. That's up to them.
Right.
Until, as you say, they update it. Internals you can change, but the Street View, we're stuck with it as well. And he said that's Google Maps.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So there we are. I'm slightly bothered by Claire's question around having two different listings for one address, because my understanding has been that in the past Google actually has been very picky about trying to get two listings against one address, because they like to take the view that there's one business per premises, which is a huge issue for things like business centres where people have lots of little suites. And it's a bit like probably the place you're in up at Fordingbridge, Doug, where there's quite a lot of businesses on that site.
Yeah. However, we are just looking at, actually, we're number 20. And I'm just going to look to see if there's any other, there's there's 4 businesses listed at number 20. But I've never searched to see if that's a problem.
Yeah.
We've got 2 businesses listed in exactly the same unit in Glasshouse Studios, and they've both got their own Google My Business. So we've got Fordingbridge Print and X Consumables, and they both are exactly the same address.
Okay, so there we are, Claire. It can be done.
Okay, you can do it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Oh, yes. Sorry, me, I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see.
This is cut out so many times. I'm not quite sure how I can see a recording. I'm sure there's a very simple answer to that, but if you could tell me, please.
We'll have a recording. I will stick it on YouTube and then I'll embed it on a blog post on the website, and you'll be able to look at it at your leisure and catch up on the bits that you missed.
Right, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.